Hello, everyone. We are back from our little bit of break. Sanaiyah and I are back from kind of recalibrating, and we are here to explore a lot more areas relating to data healing and how it can be helpful in many areas of our lives. Now, just recently, or in the last couple of weeks, actually, we've had a lot of typhoons and storms and earthquakes. So I thought it was very apt to talk about how we can stay calm, even though there are these type of natural disasters and calamities happening around you. How can we still within ourselves stay balanced and stay calm? A lot of the times we don't realize that it's not the outside that dictates how we feel. It's actually the inside outwards. So our goal is to get to a place where we are aware and we take obviously the safety precautions, but we don't bring all this energy and linger with it. Like I'm sure with the last couple of weeks or even the days, right? With the super typhoon and all this news and so much advance notice, a lot of us have become a little bit cautious. You look on Lazada, you look on Shopee, all these go bags are, empty, so people get into this fight, freeze mode. And that doesn't fare well after it's done. Like now, when everything is kind of a little bit more calm, but there is still that energy of anxiety. There's still that energy of what's going to happen next. So it's about how can we, knowing that there are things that we cannot control outside of us, how can we still remain stable, calm, centered, right? Regardless. So this is a very important episode. We're also gonna explore a little bit about, energy hygiene, like what can we do so that we don't take on all that fear and that we've been carrying, or that we're exposed to, right, around us, whether it's the news, whether it's your neighbors, right, or whether it's your friends or your family that's getting a little bit panicky. How can you be the one to still hold it together? Because it's always necessary to have that one person who can hold it together in case anything does happen, and that can be you. So we're going to explore a little bit about that and how we can retain that strength and that steadiness during times where, it doesn't have to be that there is a storm that's happening, but it could be that there's chaos happening around us, whether it's emotionally or in those aspects. Okay, so hope everybody is safe and back to regular scheduling. We would love to send love to those who are and have gone through a lot of suffering throughout this storm. We have been sending in our group chats a lot of unconditional love, a lot of group healings to these places as the Theta Healing community. So even by doing things like that and sending love, it really creates a big impact into, let's say, the storm kind of passing over Metro Manila versus it directly hitting us, right? So any energy that we put out there with love and light will definitely benefit the people around us. Okay, so I am just checking, is Sanaiyah back so we can get started? There you go. Oh, perfect. Yay. Okay. Okay.
Great.
So I did a lot of talking about introducing our topic, how there's all these situations around us. And, recently, because of the storm, the earthquake, a lot of things that we cannot control happening, and it affects us because of our fight, flight, our nervous system gets into a wreck, right? Everybody's talking about it, everybody's, um, all that buzz. So, how can we keep um, calm even though there's chaos? And this is not only applying to whether there's a storm or an earthquake, but also chaos in terms of maybe emotional or in terms of what's happening around
I,
us.
I mean, it's very normal, of course,
Yeah.
to feel these like echoes of fear and anxiety because it's almost like you're still trapped in that fear. I know someone who works on my team is in Cebu. She works out of Cebu, and she was, she went through those earthquakes, and
Mm,
it took her more than a week, probably several weeks, and I don't even think it's entirely something she has let go of, but it was the fear. She couldn't sleep at night.
yeah.
She felt like she was getting anxiety. She was worried, when was the next earthquake coming, or she didn't feel
Yeah.
safe and secure. And I totally get that because I've been through an earthquake as well. And I
Yes. Yeah.
told her it took me months, before I could not jump at the sound of a door banging. It would immediately
Hmm.
put me back into the trauma of being in an earthquake. So first of all, let's kind of say, let's clarify this, that it is normal to
Yes.
feel fearful and anxious, and this is all like PTSD, post
Mm,
traumatic stress disorder, and it's almost like you're still trapped in that fearful situation, and your brain doesn't recognize that you're actually safe now, that it's over, it's done. So one of the first things I would love for people to understand is that your brain is stuck in trauma if you
mm,
keep going back to it, right? So one of the great practices that I share with my clients is, just ask them to close their eyes and to say to themselves, it's over, it's done,
yeah.
right? Like that's over. The earthquake is over, the storm is over, and really just close the chapter for yourself. And this kind of works for a lot of different
Yeah.
things.
But
And
when you talk about being stuck in the trauma, I want to just give a little bit of, expound on it a little bit more to those people who may not understand what that means, is that even though it's past, right, every time you recall or think about it or are fearful of it happening, your brain already thinks it's happening again, right? So if your brain thinks it's happening again, your body follows suit, which is why you feel anxiety,
right,
right? So
because
so that's
your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and what you're imagining in your mind. So
yeah.
even if you're just imagining that you're back in the earthquake or the storm or the floods or like something
And
bad
what
happening,
happened? Yeah,
it's
yeah.
as good as it's really happening in your life.
Yeah. So it's important. And I
And
think
that's
that
why,
technique is really, really helpful,
yeah.
right?
And that's why fear, right, Maisha? Like, that's why fear is such a problem
Mm,
because by fearing something, you're actually putting yourself in the fear as if it's actually happening to you. And
yeah.
your brain actually thinks that it's real,
Yeah.
right? And that's why your heart rate goes up and you have these physical symptoms of anxiety because you're actually in the middle of the fear playing out for you as you imagine whatever fearful thing
Yeah.
might happen.
Yeah. And what happens also is it's not just about the emotional or the mental aspect of it. If you continue to put that much stress and pressure on your body by recalling that over and over again, it tends to compromise your immune system, right? You get sick, or you can, you hear a lot of people out of fear, they do start creating discomfort in their body or diseases even, right?
Like
In long
aches,
term.
pains,
Yeah.
they get like palpitations. I mean, that's a great example. I've had people come to me being like, I've gone to the doctor. I've checked my heart and the doctor says it's
Everything's fine.
normal,
Yeah.
but why does it feel like I have palpitations? I feel like anxious, or they don't say anxious actually. They say like their heart is always racing and they feel like something's wrong with their heart. But in actuality, it's the anxiety creating
Yeah.
the palpitations and all these like physical symptoms in their body. Actually, there's nothing wrong with them except their fear.
Yeah.
accept their anxiousness, which of course is a really big thing, especially now more than ever.
Yeah. So, that's a great tip that you had, right? I think that will really ground you for those of you who missed. It's over now. Closing your eyes and getting to that place where it's no longer happening, right? Let's talk a little bit about, anticipation also. Like, we hear still stuff, typhoons, earthquakes, things like that do we have to keep alert. Like I was talking earlier about how people are, packing their go bags and, you go on Lazada, you go on Shopee, some of these things are sold out, It's like that energy of anticipation of things could happen.
Yeah.
So where does that being prepared versus anticipating come in? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, that's such a good question. I mean, preparation is good, right? But preparation should be matter of fact, right? Like,
Mm.
okay, if we have an earthquake, I should be prepared. What do I need to prepare? Let me grab a bag and put a fat flashlight and
Hmm.
water and money, whatever, right? So I have this kind of this what do you call it? Like
It's a go bag.
it's called a go bag. Okay, so you
Yeah,
have this
go back.
go bag ready, right?
I
But
guess you don't have a go bag,
I
it
do not
says.
have a go bag. You know what I mean? I definitely don't have a go bag. But my secret is like if I really think something's going to happen, then I will have a gut feeling on that day to
Mm,
prepare some things, or I will
right,
have prepared stuff unknowingly and it will be ready for me. I
right.
really believe that the universe will come in and like help me out and I'll never be caught, in a situation where I am, you know,
Unprepared.
unprepared or I am stranded or something like that. I feel like everything's just always going to work out. And that attitude's really served me well.
Mm.
But going back to the go bag, which I clearly don't have, if you're just going to be like, okay, I need to, pack a go bag and have it ready. And then that's it. You're done. That's the end of the story. You have a go bag, you've prepared it, it's somewhere handy, and you're done with it. But if you keep thinking about it and keep thinking you need to add to it and you keep checking to make sure the go bag is there, and you keep thinking about it, right? That's when you know there is something more than preparedness, right? Now
Hmm.
you know you are anticipating things. You're fearful of it. You're creating more of it. You're inviting it.
Yeah.
So it's how attached you are to the outcome or the thing that you fear and how much you keep thinking. Basically, how much time does it take up in your mind and your thoughts? And the
Yeah.
more time and space something takes up in your mind, the more fearful you are of it, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
being prepared is like, okay, I'm going to get it done and that's it. I'm done with it. Move
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
right? But if we aren't able to move on, then I think that's where we kind of have a problem and we need to definitely work through it, see someone for it, and let go of it because that
Yeah.
is very, very uncomfortable to have to live with that kind of low buzz in your life of constantly waiting for something to go wrong or for that other shoe to drop.
But what's also interesting is I have clients who feel that that is a strength, right? Or that is something that is important to have.
Mm,
That idea of being always being on alert and prepared. And I think this is something that we've kind of inherited from our ancestors who kind of had to be alert and had to be on this fight flight freeze mode, at that time. And somehow we've kind of accepted that type of feeling that if I don't think about it constantly, and this is not talking about a storm or an earthquake, just about plan, what's the plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I have to be fully prepared. Then something would happen. One shoe will drop,
but
right?
so the problem with that, right, is that plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever, is taking up space in your mind,
Yeah.
right? So imagine again, you have a hard drive, your brain is your hard drive, and all your memory, right, is being used up by these files of all the things you have to be prepared for,
And
And
so
so,
what are you missing out on if you're taking up all that space
right? So
for
your
that?
obviously your computer is working very slow now.
Hmm.
It's not very efficient.
Yeah.
Things are taking time to open,
Hmm.
right? Your computer might more likely may crash. In other words, nervous
Hmm.
breakdown, right? Or
Yeah.
depression, right? It's when you can't cope with all of that taking up your memory or space in your psyche, your subconscious, and it gets
Yeah.
really full, and suddenly you can't cope anymore. And that's
Function.
where
You
you
can't
can't
function
function, you
anymore.
can't
Yeah.
cope, and that's when most people end up finding themselves with a diagnosis of like anxiety or
Hmm.
depression, and they can't get out of bed because they can't cope with things, or they can't, relax because their mind is always racing because you've got too much eating up your energy, right? And that is probably, I would say, one of the bigger problems when it comes to being one of those people who's so risk averse that you need to plan for everything.
Everything. Yeah.
And even then, right, the people that I've interacted with who plan for everything somehow still don't plan for the one thing that actually happens for them,
Yeah.
right? If they
Yeah.
plan for everything else, but the thing that actually happens, they were not prepared for. So you
Hmm.
can't really always be prepared for everything.
Hmm.
I prefer instead is to be able to trust yourself, to build skills like resilience, to build skills that will help you cope better, respond better instead of reacting or panicking. You have the ability to handle anything that
And
life throws at you.
and
That's a
I
skill.
and I think that goes back to the understanding or the realization that the only thing we can control is our own feelings, our own emotions, the way we react to it, right?
Totally.
Which is what you just said. And if that's the case, the most important skill that we really need to harness is our ability to be able to stay steady and resilient regardless of the environment around us, right?
Right.
So maybe we can explore a little bit more of how in theta healing, or how can we actually do that to
Yeah.
get to that space? That would be
You,
also.
yeah. And I love that you asked that question in terms of like what can we do in theta healing, because
Mm,
one of the things that I know has really helped me and has helped the clients that I've worked with is learning how to build trust. Because the thing is, we can't trust what's happening outside of us because it's not in our control. We can't trust the weather, we can't trust the government
mm,
or what's going to happen politically. We can't trust like, global warming, or we can't trust anything outside of us because it's not in our control.
yeah.
But what we do have is trust in ourselves
Mm,
and trust in a higher power, in
mm,
God, in the creator, whatever you believe in, having trust that you're taken care of by that power also gives you a lot of peace and a lot of security and even confidence, right?
yeah.
So just being able to trust yourself and to trust that there's some energy out there that is looking out for you, that's looking
Mm,
out for your family, right? And that helps us to ground better. It helps us to focus on the things we can control because now we're more focused on us. I think the
yeah.
mistake a lot of people make is they focus too much on things they can't control. They
Yes.
focus on the flood, they focus on the earthquake. These are out of our control. There's nothing we can do about it,
Mm,
you know? And what we need to think about is, well, if any of these things happen, I trust myself to respond in the best
mm.
way I can. That's
Versus
what we're
being
doing.
the panicky one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus being the one who is creating all of this anxiety for others as well, right?
Yeah.
I was talking about this a little bit at the intro, saying that, we need that one person at least to be a little bit more grounded and stable and secure to be able to kind of be the leader and lead the way. And how can you lead if you yourself are feeling anxiety
Yeah.
and stuck,
Yeah.
right? In that.
And actually Queen in the comments is saying, she said she agrees with what we're saying. And then she said, I notice my anxiety is less now because of just trusting and surrendering to creator.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah. Queen, well done. Because I know that I've seen your journey as well as someone who used to be very anxious and very worried and very uncomfortable, with things that were out of your control. And now to hear you say that, I mean, that is such a wonderful thing.
And did
And
you hear she started to drive? She has a driver's license now, which is a big achievement.
oh, tell me why.
Because it's like to be able to drive around with not knowing who or what. There's a lot of anxiety around driving. A lot of people don't drive because of the drivers in this country.
Okay. Okay. So this is
So
another thing she's overcome.
she's overcome that as a result. So that's beautiful too.
Amazing. Great. What else do you have for me, Maisha? We are getting to the end of the hour very, very soon. So yeah, she says I drive with confidence now. Ha ha.
Yeah,
Well done,
awesome.
Queen. Well
Okay,
done.
so
And
so
she's a theta healer. She's a theta healing student. She's, worked on herself quite a bit. So she's a great example of how we can overcome our
yeah,
inner challenges just by working through it using, for example, the modality of theta healing. And I will say, I want to add this because I don't think I really responded to your question well, is that, you and I have both seen how quickly with theta healing we're able to kind of crack fears, right? Where I've seen it even in one session where somebody who was like terribly afraid of different situations or animals or so on, and
dogs, yeah, yeah.
dogs, the creepy crawly creatures,
Hmm.
things like that, fear of flying. We've had people with a lot of different situations that they were afraid of, that they were very fearful of, that was creating anxiety for them. And we have both, with our own client experiences, seen how quickly it can be healed through theta healing, through even something as quick as one session. For some people it takes a little bit longer because it's stickier, but I've seen the quick turnaround in classes, in one-on-one sessions, and with my clients over the years.
So I want to also add, I was telling the audience about how we can contribute as well, like as in the Theta Healing community has been sending love and, all this powerful energy. And that also makes a big shift and difference, Um, the hard or the little bit of a tricky part is getting from a space of fear and anxiety to get to a place where, you know what, I trust, and now I am able to send that positive energy. So that's also that next kind of, if you know and you are able to get past it, then you are actually able to be more useful to the people around you as well through those means, right? You may be able to find ways to help those that have been affected if you have not, been affected. So I think that's also very important. And our
Yeah,
community is also very eager and, very, um, uh, eager to help. And that way you feel more empowered versus feeling out of control as well.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Maisha, I know that in your emotional breakthrough sessions, that you are inviting people to come in and explore their fears, explore what's causing them anxiety or stress or trauma. And I know one of the things that you start off a lot of your sessions with is you just scan them and you
Yes.
see where it's coming from. Like you can even in just a short amount of time with someone, give them clarity on why they're carrying a fear or what that fear is doing for them. And these are some really great things for people to learn, to befriend their fear, to become more aware of that
Yeah.
fear, because that's the first step to letting it go, is even
Yeah.
just becoming aware of it. So
Yes.
if anyone is interested in learning more about their fears and exploring the stress and anxiety that they're probably dealing with, then you're invited to see Maisha for an emotional breakthrough session, which is free of cost. It's just an exploration. And even if she just gives you that one thing that you can take away, I mean, I think it's really something worth
It's an eye opener. It's a
I
aha moment,
yeah,
So, because sometimes we get stuck with why are we doing this or why are we like this? And the moment you realize and understand, it's like a whole veil shifts,
yeah,
and that's super powerful. And that's why we call it a breakthrough, right? So that everybody gets a chance to experience that.
Absolutely. Now, on that note, virtue cards. Do you have some
Yes.
virtue cards for us today?
So the card for today is ta-da! Oh, peace.
Mmm.
So see, this is attuned to our topic today.
Yeah. Yeah. So peace is what you will find when you stop worrying, when you stop getting anxious, stop the fear, when you eliminate all these negative feelings. That's when you can find real peace in your body, in your mind, in your heart, in your life, really. And without that sense of, or with the anxiety, the fear, the trauma, the PTSD, there is no peace, right? Because your mind is constantly trying to prepare or protect you from that future event happening again. So you can never find peace if you keep those feelings. So this is definitely something that you really want to work on and to release. That's my take on it. Aish.
Yeah,
What did you get?
beautiful. I get the privilege of looking at the pictures and it's so beautiful. There's a bird and with the hand. And I mean, I think this is really reflective of knowing what we can control and what we cannot control, right? And that also brings more peace in our lives because at the end of the day, knowing that the only thing we can control in our lives is our own feelings and emotions, right? And that gives you that sense of peace, and of course, surrendering to God or Creator. And we have a quick question here.
Yeah, it's actually a great question.
So Evelyn
Um,
says, can you please help differentiate being in absolute trust with the Creator versus being over optimistic, naive that things will work out? Thank you. Mm.
it's actually the same thing, right?
Mm.
From one perspective, absolute trust and optimistic naive are the same thing.
Mm.
The only thing that's separating the two is judgment.
Yeah.
Because absolute trust has no possibility that you could be wrong.
Mm.
It's just trust. But when you're optimistic, which is a good thing, but naive suggests like, you have
Also
all this
that
faith, but it's
the innocence.
unbased. It's
Yeah.
unfounded, or it's like,
Mm.
it's something that is going to be proved to be wrong. So at the point where we don't know what happens next, optimism, trust, and being naive are actually just judgments of the same thing, right? But once the situation has already, come to pass, come to be, then if it works out for you, oh, you were trusting and optimistic and it worked out. And if it didn't work out, hey, you were naive.
Mm.
So it's kind of it's something that judgment can only be made correct or made right after the effect, after the event is over, right? So I guess the best way for me to explain it, Evelyn, is how I how I approach things is I always think very optimistically with absolute trust that everything will work out. And if it doesn't work out, I don't put the judgment that I was naive. I just recognize that there was something else that had to happen for either my own personal growth and learning, or because something better is meant to come later on, or because there are certain things that I can't see in the situation.
Yeah.
So even there, I have to trust that,
There's wisdom behind it. Yeah.
yeah, there's some kind of wisdom behind it. So I just don't even entertain the idea of naivete. So it's basically I walk through life, and I know you do too, Maisha. So I'm in a way speaking for both of us, right? We just trust that everything that happens is for the best, and nothing shakes that, right? And sometimes we get caught up in the drama of the situation, and they're like, oh, I should have done this, or maybe if I planned better, and maybe this, and maybe that. But as long as you can correct yourself, you can pull yourself out of it. I think it generally will work out. So what I recommend is completely get rid of this idea of it being naive or you're being naive. That's just your judgment on yourself. And instead, focus on trust and being optimistic and always expecting the best to show up for you, to work out for you. And if it doesn't, you have the tools to make your peace with it and still move on.
Beautiful. Love
Right?
it. Hey, so thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Sending love and light to everyone that has been affected by the storm.
Yeah. Grateful.
Um, and those of you who, have heard the tips that we had for you, please do apply them in your life. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us for Theta Talks.